The long-awaited news of the Messiah's advent was met with jubilation around the world. Through his books, articles, and direct correspondence, pious individuals in America were fortunate to accept this message during the lifetime of the promised Messiah ﷺ. At the start of the 20th century, a great sign manifested itself in America when Hazrat Mirza Ghulam Ahmad ﷺ challenged a bitter opponent of his Islam, John Alexander Dowie, to a prayer duel to establish which claimant of divine support was indeed truthful.
This challenge of the promised Messiah was given wide publicity in the American press. Mr. Dowie's outburst in the Leaves of Healing of December 1903 led to a progressive decline of all his affairs and his miserable death as prophesied by the promised Messiah, peace be upon him.
The true message of Ahmadiyya, the Islam, came in United States by Hazrat Masih Maud himself. So this great country is blessed with the message of Islam and Ahmadiyya during his lifetime. Now it is 100 years by the grace of Allah to the Ahmadiyya in this country, when Hazrat Muslim Maud Raziyallahu Ta'ala sent a great companion of Masih Maud Hazrat late Mufti Muhammad Sadiq Sahib Raziyallahu Ta'ala, who came in February 1920 to the United States.
Mufti Sahib left England sailing on the SS Haverford and arrived in Philadelphia on February 15, 1920.
He was such a wonderful missionary that within the 3 years that he only lived in America for 3 years, 700 people accepted Islam and Ahmadiyya through him. And he used to go out and do lectures and make speeches. So that was how he started his mission. And then, of course, when the people start becoming Ahmadi Muslims, he started putting the people who were converted, giving them the Muslim names and asking them to start their missionary work in different cities.
What was so important about the efforts of Mufti Muhammad Sadiq? First of all, he made connections to Muslims of many different ethnic groups and racial identities. And this was in the true spirit of Islam, a religion of brotherhood and sisterhood throughout the world.
He has laid down the platform, right? So from the 20s all the way through, we've had a Muslim sunrise, so a way that documents a historical experience. We have a structure, we should have mosques, these kinds of things. We have a system of khilafat. So he's showing this level of organization, this high quality system. So people are connecting to the culture, and then they're connecting to the philosophy.
After the pioneering work of Mufti Sahib, other missionaries were sent to America to continue spreading the message and to further establish the Jamaat.
From the very beginning, the Ahmadiyya movement in Islam furnished a very important model of multi-racial and multi-ethnic cooperation among Muslims in America. This began with the first missionaries. If you look at many of the early pictures of the converts to Islam in the United States who were made by the early missionaries of the Ahmadiyya movement, you see once again that model of multi-racialism. African Americans, Indians, white Americans. Very, very important, this model of multiracial cooperation.
A lot of other missionaries came and they started preaching, opening the mission house, mosque. And first mosque was built in Dayton, that time, in the time of Hazrat Muslim Maud Razillahu Ta'ala anhu. And name of that masjid is Fazl Umar Masjid.
There were some cities like Dayton and St. Louis, which was the majority of the converts were Afro-Americans, and they were taking the leads.
Pioneer members made great sacrifices to establish missions in America, particularly across the East Coast and the Midwest.
أعوذ بالله من الشيطان الرجيم بسم الله الرحمن الرحيم واعتصموا بحبل الله جميعا ولا تفرقوا واذكروا نعمة الله عليكم إذ كنتم أعداء فألف بين قلوبكم فأصبحتم بنعمته إخوانا.
Most notably, Rashid Ahmad Sahib, who became the first ever African-American Ahmadi to be trained as a missionary from Jamia Ahmadiyya Rabwa in Pakistan with direct guidance from Hazrat Khalifatul Masih II, Raziyallahu anhu.
And he was a great inspiration, say, to me, because he, as I understood, had been with the Khalifa, and he got a first-hand understanding of how a person, say, should carry themselves, you know, as a human being.
And we're going to do what? We're going to pray like we have been told to do. Keep on praying, keep on preaching. And when you keep praying and keep preaching, then what's going to happen? The good people are going to see you preaching and praying. What they're going to do? They're going to start preaching and praying. They're going to follow what? They're going to follow you. Why? Because you are following the prophet of the age. To follow the prophet of the age, you have to be the winners.
Amidst the backdrop of social unrest and the civil rights movement in the 60s and the 70s, American Ahmadi Muslims rejected political protests and instead turned to the institution of Khilafat as a source of peace and guidance.
At the same time, and we can't forget this either, you have really a group of Ahmadis that spend that time visiting with the Khulafa, right? They're traveling to Qadian when that's available to them. They're traveling to Rabwa when that's available to them. They're moving around the world of Ahmadiyya. They're trying to raise their kids in the United States as Ahmadis, and so they're taking them on these spiritual journeys.
Having an opportunity to visit Pakistan or visit India, meet the Khalifa as a spiritual guide, and being able to establish that relationship with him, you know, a constant relationship with him, asking for his prayers and his guidance. And I think that you can't ask for anything more.
We were able to be in Rabwa and be in his environment, or the Khalifa's environment, and we understood not only the Khalifa, but also Khilafat.
The first visit of a Khalifa took place in the era of Hazrat Khalifatul Masih III, Rahmatullah alayh.
He came here in 1976, and he arrived in Washington, D.C. And that was the moment, and I was lucky to be among the people who received him. But it was a beautiful moment to see that the Khalifa of Ahmadiyyat is stopping in America. And he lived with us for a few days in Washington, D.C. Then he went to other places. And of course, as I said earlier, in New Jersey, we had our Jalsa Salana that he addressed. But he met one-to-one basis.
I remember that the questioner asked him, say, why did you come here? So he said to them, I came here to visit my people. And then he turned to the other and said, you know, Isn't that true? And we all say yes, and actually that was. He came to visit us. He was the first Khalifa that came to the United States to visit, the Ahmadiyya Muslim community.
Hazrat Khalifatul Masih III also visited America in 1980, touring the West Coast for the first time. The fourth worldwide head of the community, Hazrat Mirza Tahir Ahmad Rahmatullah Alayh, graced the United States with his presence multiple times in the 1980s and 90s. His first visit was in October 1987.
The Jamaat was very small. Even Juma and the Majlis-e-Irfan, sitting with Khalifatul Masih, all mulaqat was done in Masjid Fazl DC, Washington DC. Everything was done there.
I want you to be a part and parcel of the international Ahmadiyya community as such and move forward with great strides into the glorious future of Ahmadiyya. Do not just watch the future, glorious future of others in other lands. Work for it in your country where you live.
Hazrat Khalifatul Masih IV Rahmatullah Alayh put great emphasis on the national expansion of the Jamaat, including a project to build 5 mosques in major US cities.
Hazur emphasized that, and he made us pledge that we were going to do that. So the 5 mosque project involved mosques in Washington, Chicago, Detroit, Los Angeles, and New York.
Under the 4th Khalifa's guidance, in the mid-90s, the USA Jamaat also played an instrumental role in the start of the MTA International broadcast and established the Jamaat's official global website, alislam.org. Since 2008, Hazrat Khalifatul Masih V, Ayatollah bin Nasr al-Aziz, has blessed American soil with visits on 4 separate occasions.
And alongside the spiritual revolution, may Allah continuously bless us by making us forever recipients of the prayers that the Prophet Muhammad made for his Jamaat.
His Holiness has courageously led the community through testing times with global unrest and growing Islamophobia, which has heightened tensions around the world and particularly in American society.
The acts of terrorism or extremism have nothing whatsoever to do with the true teachings of Islam.
By the coming of Khalifatul Masih, a great blessing, great success, progress of the Jamaat, spiritually, morally, physically, it is taking place everywhere.
By God's grace, 2020 marked the completion of the first century of Islam Ahmadiyyat in the United States of America. The centennial was commemorated nationally as a moment of immense happiness, but also a time for sincere reflection.
We need to be grateful to all the blessings that have happened to us and our elders over the last 100 years. So let's memorialize those, let's remember those, and you pray for the progeny that they become righteous.
Whatever may happen, we must continue resolutely and march forward on the path of achievement of peace.
It is an honor to be in the same room with you. Thank you for bringing us all together to honor you and for the work that you have led us in to build a better future. Thank you, Your Holiness. Thank you, Your Holiness.
The mantra or motto, love for all, hatred for none, is something that we all as human beings can embrace.
And at the end of the day, it's about love, compassion, justice, and that's what we need.
I think that God sent this mosque to this neighborhood and to this city I really do believe the things that we're struggling with, the difficulties we struggle with, can be helped by positive people and positive role models.
Indeed, for over a century, your community has been a shining star in our twinkling constellation of American faiths.
We hold genuine love for all people and are ever ready to extend a hand of friendship to others. And so the United States, as the world's largest power, should play its role in acting with true justice and with such good intentions as I have described. If it does so, then the world will always remember with great admiration your great efforts. It is my prayer that this becomes a reality. Thank you very much. Thank you again.
live khilafat long live huzur. بسم الله